but he'll be in our area this coming Friday and Saturday at the Turning Point in Fairmont. And then he'll
Hello everyone. Today we have a couple of things that I found, some found objects that have some interest to them, and also we have a book today called The Hand-Me-Down Doll by Stephen Kroll to read. So anyway, let's take a look at the things I found recently. Here, these are interesting spherical objects. They look pretty nice. They appear. So that's kind of nice. Also, I found this. This looks like it's a marble box. This could be to put soap in, things like that. That's kind of interesting. We'll put that in the back behind over here. Let's take a look at this book. This is called The Hand-Me-Down Doll by Stephen Kroll, illustrated by Evelyn Ness. This is about a doll that's little girl's parents buy this doll for her, and she puts the doll on the side. She doesn't really appreciate her. She plays with her other dolls, with her other toys and things, and this doll feels a little bit left out, as it were. This is called The Hand-Me-Down Doll by Stephen Kroll, illustrated by Evelyn Ness. When Glenda's parents buy her a beautiful doll, Glenda puts it on a shelf and ignores it. "Why don't you play with this beautiful doll?" asks her mother. "You can't give her away if you like. You can give her away if you like," answers Glenda. "I don't want her." And so the doll gets passed on to another owner and another. The doll is very sad, since all she wants is to be loved and to be given a name. What happens to her at last makes a poignant and satisfying story. One moment. Okay. For Marjorie, a doll. There was once a nasty little girl called Glenda. The more she had, the more she wanted. The more she asked for, the more she got. Finally, on her 6th birthday, her parents bought Glenda the most beautiful doll they could find. But Glenda wasn't interested. She put the doll on a shelf and went on playing with her boat and her games, her rabbits and her fish, her makeup and her jewelry. When her mother asked what she was going to name her new doll, Glenda said, "Oh, nothing." "Nothing?" said Glenda's mother. Glenda shrugged. For a long time, the doll sat on a shelf. No one held her or cuddled her. She got very lonely. She wanted a name. One day, Glenda's mother discovered the doll covered in dust. "Glenda," she said, "why don't you play with this beautiful doll?" "You can give her away if you like," said Glenda. "I don't want her." That afternoon, Farmer John came by, delivering eggs. As he was leaving, Glenda's mother handed him the doll. "What's this for?" said John. "You know, Sal, and I don't have children." "Glenda doesn't want her," said her mother. "Poor thing," said John, and he took the doll home in his wagon. But Farmer John and his wife, Sal, didn't have much time for a doll. John was busy farming. Sal was busy cooking and gardening. They put the doll on a chair in the living room and left her alone. The doll looked out the window at the silent fields. She looked around the quiet room. She got even lonelier than before. And still, she didn't have a name. In the fall, when it was time for the country fair, John and Sal took the doll along to decorate their vegetable booth. The doll liked that. People noticed her and called her beautiful again. Then a big, gruff-looking woman came by, shoved $5 in John's hand, the doll was lifted up and carried away. The woman carried her down a midway of rides and games of chance. She stuck the doll in the middle of the ring toss game, beside some stuffed dogs and tigers. Then she answered, "Step right up, everybody." Then she announced, "Step right up, everybody. 2 rings over any bottle, and you win this beautiful doll." The doll shuddered. If she was so beautiful, how could anyone gamble her away? Would no one take her home and love her? Hours passed. A man in a uniform was tossing the rings. He aimed and missed. He tried again. A ring wobbled around the neck of a bottle and stayed. With 1 ring left, he threw, and he won. "I'll take the doll," he said, "and I'll give her to my niece." The man left the fair with the doll under his arm. He walked to a shiny limousine, but he didn't step inside. He held open the door, and an elegant couple swept up and got in. Then he put the doll on the driver's seat and drove away. The doll tried to imagine her new home. But when the elegant couple had been dropped off, the chauffeur drove to a nearby cafe. Inside it was dark and noisy. The chauffeur greeted the manager with a shout, and soon he was greeting others with shouts and slaps on the back. The doll thought he might show her off to the people, but he didn't. He put her in a corner and left her there. When the lights were turned up at closing time, Harry, the waiter, discovered the doll. "Hey, Nell," he said to the cook, "have you seen this incredible doll?" "Yes," said Nell. "I just can't remember who brought her in." "Well, what are we going to do with her?" "Keep me," the doll said to herself. "Keep me and love me and give me a name." "Know anyone with kids?" said Nell. "Nah," said Harry. "I'd better leave her outside. Maybe someone will come along and want her." No sooner was the doll outside than a small boy appeared from around the corner. His face was dirty. His shirt was torn. He picked up the doll and carried her off. She was almost as big as he was, but he carried her gently and easily. Then he sat her down on the pavement. The doll looked around at the battered houses. They were in the poorest section of town. They were in the poorest part of town. A little girl was coming from the other direction. The boy jumped out in front of her. Would you buy a doll? Want to buy a doll?" he whispered. "Cheap." The doll's heart sank, but she looked up and there was a smiling, friendly face. "That's such a beautiful doll," the little girl said. "She's yours for a nickel," said the boy. The girl searched in her pockets. She came up with 1 nickel. "It's my allowance for the whole month," she said. "But I don't care. Here." The boy took the money and ran off. The little girl carried the doll home to her parents' tiny, neat house. She took her upstairs to her room and sat her on the bed. The room was nearly bare. "I don't have very much," she said, "but having you is everything." She hugged the doll tight. "My name is Molly," she said, "and your name is Polly." Polly cleared her eyes and Polly closed her eyes and smiled. At last she was loved, and at last she had a name. Stephen Kroll is the author of One Tough Turkey, The Big Bunny, and The Easter Eggs, Friday the 13th, and other well-known children's books. He lives in New York City and is working on a story about Mother's Day. Evelyn Ness has illustrated more than 50 books for children, among them the Caldecott Medal winner Sam, Bangs and the Moonshine, Marcella's Guardian Angel, and Fierce the Lion. An accomplished architectural designer, she is also the creator of 5 popular paper house books: Colonial Paper House, Paper Palace, 4 Rooms from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Victorian Paper House, and a Shaker Paper House. Ms. Ness lives in Palm Beach, Florida. So there we have this book, The Hand-Me-Down Doll by Stephen Kroll, and it's illustrated by Evelyn Ness, and so it shows that there's somebody, no matter what it is, there's somebody that will appreciate it and love it in turn, and so the doll finally found her person that will love her, and this little girl, she couldn't afford much, but she saw something in this doll that the others could not see, and that's a very important thing, to be able to appreciate something, to be able to appreciate things, and it's been good to present this to you, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you. Take care. We'll see you again.